It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. As always, doing our research, and just so you know, just so you don't panic. Doing some intense research, and this is research that goes back, I think 30 years now,
okay.
That New York is not the first major city to have a socialist Marxist mayor.
Right.
It was Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And apparently they had three of them going back all the way to 1910 to 1912. And the reason that I know this is because of the intense research I did when I watched Wayne's World and Alice Cooper explained to both Wayne and Garth that Milwaukee was the... Now, he was wrong in one point.
Yeah.
He said it was the first American city. No, it was the first major American city. So Alice was wrong on that.
Yeah.
But, hey, it was after a rock show.
Right, yeah. He's probably tired.
Yeah. It was after a rock show. And,
right.
And if you remember that scene, Wayne and Garth got really, they were intellectually stimulated to the point where Wayne looked at Alice Cooper and said, "Does this guy know how to party or what?" And then they bowed in front of Alice Cooper because of Alice Cooper's knowledge of socialism here in the United States.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Alan, get Alice Cooper on the phone, would you?
Yes.
Man who's ahead of his time.
Tell him we want to talk politics and religion.
Exactly. Yeah, we could.
I know.
And he'd love it. I don't know about politics, but he'd love to talk religion. Isn't he teaching Bible study?
Yeah.
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 True story. That's not a joke, by the way. That's the problem with being so smarmy quite often, is that if I do say something serious and it sounds like a joke, that Alice Cooper, he's teaching Bible study.
So does Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah, okay.
To homeless people.
Yeah.
At a homeless center, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It was in his biography, which, by the way, if you ever see the one where he had, it was basically a discussion, and they were all talking about Jeff Foxworthy, and it was, Larry the Cable Guy, and White.
Ron White.
Ron White, and, I can't remember the woman's name. And they all came up together, though.
Yeah.
And, Ron White started talking about Jeff Foxworthy. And he started, when Jeff Foxworthy said, he was, when his father died, that, Ron White was doing something and just stopped it in the middle and said, boom, and went out to see him. He goes, when I saw you walk in, he goes, I just broke up. And, when you hear Ron White talk about the fact, he goes, I'd be nothing if it wasn't for you. You made my... He goes, no, you were good. He goes, no, you brought me on the blue collar comedy tour. And
all those guys are extremely, extremely wealthy.
Yeah,
and a lot of that because of that, that Foxworthy thing of bringing that blue collar thing together.
He said my checks went from $5,000 to $500,000.
Yeah,
and then they did it the first time. Then the second time, Jeff Foxworthy said, I won't do it unless everybody gets paid the same.
Yeah, Larry the Cable Guy. I think out of all of them, I think Larry has the highest net worth.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, because he got in on one of the Disney franchises.
Yeah,
and
Alice Cooper also has. He's got a charity that brings in kids to play musical instruments.
Yeah.
In Phoenix. Yeah, it's got to be in Phoenix because that's where he's from originally. When you see his story, though, the fact that, and I didn't know this till I saw the biography probably about 10 years ago, and I went, whoa, that who signed them to the first record deal was Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And remember, everybody's probably not Alice Cooper, excuse me, was Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa signed Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And it's great because we've all seen, if you're into music at all, you've probably seen it on YouTube where you've got Zappa talking about the record industry. And he said, the problem with the record industry is when you got all these experts in, all these young, cool experts who said, no, we're really not into that. He goes, the record industry was much better when you had these old fat guys sitting there smoking cigars who ran the record companies, and stuff would come in and they'd go, we have no idea what the hell it is, but I don't know. The kids like it. Go do it. And he said the same thing. Heard Alice Cooper. He goes, I have no idea what the hell you're doing, but we're signing you.
Yeah.
I don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Freedom.
I wish that happened in my career. We don't know what the hell. Well,
actually,
I think that is happening now.
That's
isn't
happening
it?
right now.
Yeah, we don't know what the hell you guys are doing on the radio.
We don't even know who you are, but we'll pay you to get out of our office. That works.
So what a day it was yesterday.
Wow.
Oh, if you want to know, we might have played this audio a long time ago. If you want to know, because now the question's going to come up, is he a socialist? Is he a communist? And we're talking about Mamdani. Here's why. Here's just one example of why we have said all along he's a communist. Okay, here we go. All right.
If there was any system that could guarantee each person housing, whether you call it the abolition of private property or you call it, just a statewide housing guarantee, it is preferable to what is going on right now.
There you go. Right there.
Yeah. I mean, and he said it in his, victory speech. By the way, I heard that Russia Today is coming back. Only in New York City.
Wow.
We had a great listener suggest that we become, in New York City, we become Radio Free America. But in his victory speech, basically saying the government needs to be involved. He didn't realize, he actually did realize, but his phrasing turns around when you say something like, there's no problem too big or too small for the government to be involved in. He says, for the government to care about. Well, no, that's the government to be involved in, which means more government control. And the fact of the matter is, even though it's not on the federal level, that mindset is a growing mindset, and it's been around. He's not new. His ideas are not new. He's not paving any brave new path forward.
No.
Not even close. I don't know if it's a generational thing where these, again, young socialist communists don't realize, hey, we've already tried that, and it's failed. But you and I have seen it. We've been doing this next year, it'll be 21 years together, and a combined experience of 400 years of radio between you and me. And I don't have a calculator, so I'm going based on memory.
We made Marconi's legacy.
Right. Yes. Well, we remember that election in Milwaukee in 1910.
Well, the reason I brought that, I mean, I went, when I thought about it, I thought about it, and I go, okay, I got to start the show with that when I thought about it yesterday. And I went, everybody get a kick out of the fact that, the whole, BS of me doing all this research, and I got it from Wayne's World. But I did bring it up to show that socialism has existed. This isn't the first time that it has happened. You look at the 1930s, you can make an argument that socialism nationwide was greater than it is today.
Yeah.
It's in pockets, and it was there.
Yeah.
And then you saw what happened in the 50s and the 60s, where, we go through these ebbs and flows. And as I told you before we began the show, what's going on in New York City and other places? Well, here we go. My dad, what my dad said, people want to be BS'd. They're ignorant on the issues. They don't know how the world runs at all. They don't have a clue about economics. They don't care to have a clue. They just want a fresh new voice throwing out the same old tired socialist crap that government can take care of everything, and they're a fool to buy into it because history shows it fails.
Yeah.
It's almost as if we go through these cycles of people standing next to a cliff and going, I don't believe gravity exists. Well, then step off.
Well,
no, that must be something else. I'm going to step off. And then 20 of them step off. Then they step off, dude. And then they sit there, and for 10 years, nobody tries to test gravity again. And then after 10 years, they go, well, let's see if gravity still exists. And let's walk off the cliff again.
Well, about 75% of New York voters under 30 voted for Mamdani. And that's my point on the generational thing. They hear free stuff. And we've seen it happen before because we're old. We've seen it multiple times.
Yeah.
It's cyclical. The people that voted for him, if Obama showed up, they'd go, oh, look, it's Morgan Freeman. They have no idea who the guy is. They don't remember his socialist path, right? It's like, hey, look, it's Morgan Freeman. This is all new to them. For them, he's the first one to come up with these ideas. Wait a minute. Free bus rides. Just remember that means you're going to have to take the bus.
Was Morgan Freeman a socialist?
No. It's just that
okay.
Obama looks old. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll never forget the day I met Barack Obama.
No, but as we said yesterday and the day before that and the day before that, throughout the election, on a national scale, the promotion of the Green New Deal by Democrats was probably, in modern history, from the 50s on, the most communist plan that Democrats have come up with.
Right.
Because of where you had to go once you went through, well, how do you get to the Green New Deal?
Right.
Well, what are you talking about? Well, these companies would be forced to make electric cars and electric this, but they can't make a profit. Well, yeah, then the government would take them over. That would be the natural recourse of it. Well, that's how you get to communism, because you get rid of private property, you get rid of private corporations, you get into the whole, government ownership of industry. So, people understand us now. People that listen to us, our listeners, they understand us. And for example, we're not screaming and yelling. We weren't doing it yesterday. We weren't doing it today. We expected this to happen.
I've been saying, I don't know, we've been saying for years, but after the 24 election, the Democrats are still winning elections, and they're going to win elections in the future.
And we also talked about the fact of, because of and by the way, the Democrats, we'll get into more specifics on it. The Republicans yesterday got into talking about affordability. Mm-hmm. Trump was on Brett Baer saying things are incredibly cheap. It's like, stop it.
Well, and he said that at another stop. He said, we're making things affordable. We're making things affordable. Clearly, affordable was the word of the day. But what does it tell you? They got the message.
Well, they got the message because J.D. Vance said it. Yep. You had others, after Ramaswamy said it.
Right.
But the fact is that inflation, and when you look at the products that people buy, and that's what we do, and we follow the government figures, including all the government figures put out by the Trump administration when it comes to inflation, which he has not yet challenged the inflation numbers. And that's the problem, as we have pointed out, especially on things that people buy, are over that 3% that we're roughly at right now, which is on top of everything from the Democrats. Yeah, Democrats caused the problem. Yeah, but Republicans said, we'll solve it.
Right.
Well, people don't see lower prices. And when you say you're going to see lower prices day one.
And remember what the poll showed? This was, I think, in February, said, we're going to give you about 6 months on this. The people, basically, they were polling people. Yeah. All right, it'll probably take 6 months to get things going.
And we had said when they first rolled out, when Trump rolled out the tariffs, we went, Well, what's your plan to lower prices?
Right.
Because if you're going to put price pressure on with tariffs, what's the other plan? Now, I will say this. Ramaswamy, the Republicans need to come out and talk about affordability and give specific plans. He's the only one that said that. Every other Republican was saying, we needed to talk about affordability. No, you don't. You need to come up with a plan. What's your plan?
Right.
What is the plan from Republicans
Right.
to get affordability?
Right.
We know what the Democrats' plan is. Government takes over everything and
Exactly.
subsidizes everything.
Well, that's it.
And so it's actually more expensive. It's just other people are paying for it.
The left knows the left principles.
Yeah.
Why is it that the GOP forgets conservative principles? We've been talking about it for ages.
Well,
That's also not new.
Well, that's the other thing. It may initially sound great when you throw out socialism, but history shows it doesn't work.
Right.
That's what the Democrats are proposing doesn't work. Conservative economics works.
Yes.
History has proven that.
Right.
And I saw somebody wrote it yesterday saying one of the problems is, and we've talked about this many times before, that young people believe that everything we have is like an entitlement. It just appeared.
Right.
They don't understand what type of an economic system you have to give all of the but to have all the products that we have in a capitalistic society. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't magically appear, but they don't care about how it appears.
Nope.
They just want what they want.
How does electricity work? I turn the switch on.
Yeah.
That's all they care about.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Due to safety concerns, many motor carriers have policies that limit or prohibit the use of cruise control. You should only use it in good driving conditions, during daylight hours, and on roads that have light traffic, few curves or hills, and a consistent speed limit. Never use cruise control when operating in adverse driving conditions, including wet, icy, or slippery roads, during rush hour in heavy traffic or on congested highways, at night, or when you're tired or fatigued. You want to be controlling and adjusting your speed as you drive instead of having to suddenly brake if you encounter an obstacle. In the case of a slippery road surface, you want to be able to slow your vehicle by not accelerating instead of using the brakes whenever possible. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Let me just go here. I just thought about this very quickly to my American Airlines app because I'm always booking flights.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any notification yet. Not yet.
I don't think it's official yet.
Yeah, no notification yet of because I think that when it becomes official, we'll have the list of airports. ABC got it. And you got it, and thank you for giving it to me.
Yeah.
Of the list of airports where they're going to cut back 10%.
Right.
On Friday. 10% of the schedule, 10% of flights, commercial flights, will be gone on Friday because of the shutdown.
The official announcement later today, but ABC got it, and I think it was probably a deliberate leak. I don't know. But anyway, they got it, however they got it, and I guess we'll find out how accurate it is, but it makes sense. These are the major airports. It's a total of 40 of them. So the list, is the busy airports where the traffic is, and you alleviate. By the way, somebody, it wasn't Thune, it wasn't Johnson, said there might be a deal by the end of actually it was Thune. There might be a deal by the end of the week on the shutdown, and I thought, does he know it's Wednesday? At the time, it was Wednesday. It's like, does he know the week is more than halfway done?
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. We never got a chance to talk about the death of former Vice President Dick Cheney. And look, when anybody dies in politics, everybody knows, anybody who's listened to us, they know when we've agreed with them or disagreed with them. We just don't feel that when somebody dies that it's the appropriate time to be pounding on what you disagreed with them on. I mean, obviously the last couple of years, and when he endorsed Harris, there were a lot of questions as to what in the world is going on with the Cheney family. But he served in Congress for years. Was in the CIA. He spent a lot of his career in public service. And he really, when you think about it, Cheney was the one that during the Bush administration, and I saw it put this way, he was like, he didn't run the White House. That came from Democrats.
Yeah.
But you could have called him the CFO.
That's a great way to put it.
Really, he is the one. Democrats won't do it. Everybody know Harris didn't do a damn thing in the Biden administration.
Yeah, right.
We all know it.
Right. By the way, if you want to see a great, it's just a dead-on impression, really, but it's great acting. Christian Bale in the movie Vice, he gained the weight and everything to play Dick Cheney, and he actually said in an interview that the guy's really fascinating, and he talked positively about him, and he led a fascinating life and the whole thing, and it's like, and I hadn't watched it. I watched it years after it came out, but I was like, holy cow.
He lived an absolutely fascinating life. But I think when you think about it, when you look at how J.D. Vance is being used by Trump to do a number of things, and you look at Trump even in his second term now, the delegation of authority Trump is much better at in the second term. But you think about who was the president that really, said, "Oh no, you're just not going to be a figurehead sitting here." It was really at that point in modern American politics that you look at from the '60s on, whatever that I think it was done to that extent. What I find incredible about the life of Dick Cheney was the fact that he had his first heart attack at 37. Yeah. He had heart disease, and I didn't know this till years later because there really wasn't a lot about it, but, he blames the fact, not only did he have heart disease, but he was smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. And when he was a member of Congress, he's admitted it, way over drinking, smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Mm-hmm. And when you think he had 5 heart attacks. I mean, he was, and then a heart transplant. He was almost a bionic man. Technology kept him alive. He probably should not have made it to 50.
Right.
I'm serious. He probably should not have made it to 50. Modern technology kept him alive till 84 years of age. But our condolences to the Cheney family. All right, here we go. You ready?
All right.
Here are the ABC. Thank you. You found the article for me. Thank you. I appreciate it. The FAA reducing air traffic by 10% across 40 high-volume markets. The airports that will see a 10% reduction. Anchorage. Now, this spreads out to those airports that will not be receiving those flights. And those planes will not be landing at those airports, so it will have a domino effect. On all other airports.
Yes. Right. Yes.
Anchorage, Hartsfield, Jackson, Atlanta, Logan in Boston, Baltimore, Washington, Charlotte, Cincinnati, Dallas Love Field, Washington National, Ronald Reagan, Denver International, DFW here in Dallas, Detroit Metropolitan, Newark, Fort Lauderdale, Honolulu, Houston Hobby, Washington Dulles International, George Bush Houston Intercontinental, Indianapolis International, JFK in New York, Las Vegas. Well, actually, there's Mamdani. He's just closing that down.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the
right,
shortage.
Right. That's part of the billionaire wall going up. No billionaires can leave.
Right. Exactly.
Las Vegas, McCarran, LAX, Orlando International, Midway, Memphis, Miami, Minneapolis, Oakland, Ontario. I said all the airports in New York, right? Portland, Chicago, Portland, Oregon, that is, Philadelphia, Phoenix, San Diego, Louisville, Seattle, Tacoma, San Francisco, Salt Lake City, Teterboro Airport, and Tampa International. So there you go, 10%, all there. But like I said, it'll domino across. Will this in the announcement? And two things I thought of yesterday. Is Trump completely bluffing on removing the filibuster in order to get the Democrats closer to the table? Because if they did it, then Republicans would get credit for ending it. I'm just wondering. I'm thinking of how the Democrats might be thinking, not how we think.
Well, it could be. I was telling you that here's what it looks like to me, based on all of the chatter from yesterday. It looks like they were waiting for Election Day, the GOP. We're not going to move on. We'll wait, and if the Democrats keep blocking us, we'll put it on them, and then after Election Day, we'll make a move. And that's what it looks like. Thune saying he's optimistic there could be a deal by the end of the week. Now, I do believe he said that actually on Monday. He didn't say it. I don't think he said it Wednesday. I think he said it on Monday because it was before the I think it was before the election because he said it'll be easier to get it done afterward once the election is over. And I thought, oh well, no, it's easier politically once you get the election over because you're worried about any ill effect. And I think yesterday the GOP was basically scrambling. And now I think the only concern is within the party. You've got Collins saying she wants a deal that gets them only to December 19th. And over in the House, Speaker Johnson saying, no, we're not going to do an omnibus at Christmas time. That's not happening. January is what we're pushing for. So it's what I had been thinking you push this out till January after the first of the year. You don't try, and because the other connect to this, the other problem with this is that to get some of the Democrats on board, I don't know how many Democrats they have on board. The Hill had a story where the count right now is 3. They call them centrist Democrats over at the Hill, if there is such a thing. But if this whole thing hinges in part of the deal is based on the promise of a vote on the Obamacare subsidy, well, you didn't want to give that promise before Election Day. It may not be the poison pill altogether, but you certainly don't want to rock the boat before Election Day. You wait and do that after Election Day. So everything looks like yesterday, the chatter, just my interpretation. Well, now that the election is over, we can move on it. Because there was no hope that they're not going to do anything on Obamacare. I don't know what it's going to look like, but we're going to keep pumping money into that. And the GOP is going to be a part of it. And conservatives aren't happy about it, but it doesn't matter. Again, we're a small group when it comes to fiscal conservatives, and I think that's where we are. I don't know if it's going to be by the end of the week.
Well, I guess here'd be the thing. I've covered so many of these. You really never see one of these things that continues to be debated through the Christmas break. They
Right.
may go up to the 24th,
Mm-hmm.
but they're always gone by that point.
Well, that's I think that was
that's
Johnson's point of, that means that if they do a big December omnibus, everybody's going to be so anxious to get home and get out of there, they'll just, okay, great, throw everything in.
right.
And it will be
Right.
too much of a mess. And Johnson doesn't want that. No, let's wait until we get back in January. We'll push it back to January. I believe that's the point he was making.
Because Republicans want to get home for Christmas and
Right.
Democrats for the winter solstice.
Exactly. Yes. Well, and of course, Mayor-elect Mamdani wants to hold a celebration in the neighborhood of Siberia, which is a small neighborhood in New York City.
It's going to rename different
He's going
portions.
just after the Soviet Union over here. This is Ukraine Village over here. But it's
Little Moscow.
little Moscow. But it is, it's clear now to me. Everything I was like, yeah, okay, no, I get it. It really is predictable. It's the way that they have pushed this thing out, and they thought, President Trump did say something yesterday on the elections that, look, nobody believed it was going to be anything different. We're talking about these blue areas. We were expecting a loss. But he also said people didn't like the shutdown. Well, hold on a second. That, I would say, if you're watching Northern Virginia, where there's a bunch of government union workers and they're not getting paid, I could see them voting, but they were going to vote blue anyway.
But the union leadership of the unions that they're in was supporting a clean resolution.
Right. Exactly.
Or clean continuing resolution.
So if there was any effect, it was that, but it wasn't broad.
If there's going to be, right, because you and I have watched the polls. The polls were the same. Democrats were in the lead in every one of those races back in September.
Yes.
Before the shutdown ever happened. So that wasn't the cause of it at all. Look, Republicans, you saw it. Trump didn't at the beginning of the day, but by the middle of the day, he was talking about affordability, saying the GOP needs to talk about affordability.
They clearly got the message.
And Vance was talking about affordability. Everybody also was talking about affordability. And then I went, okay, today was the day to say the word affordability. When are you going to say what Ramaswamy said? You got to talk about affordability and what specifically you're going to do. Here's the question. What are you going to do? But we'll talk about that, get back to the shutdown here. But that was my question. What are you going to do?
Yeah, right.
What are you going to do?
Right.
How are you going to make things, more affordable? Now, on energy, for example, gasoline, we're breaking records on producing gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, in the campaign, remember Trump saying, when I was president, gasoline was $1.60 a gallon. Mm-hmm. Well, you set that bar down to $1.60. The only reason gasoline got down that low, or $1.70, whatever it was because of COVID. Nobody in the world
was driving.
Nobody was driving. And so you're using that as a benchmark. And so I've checked, since he got in office, the majority of time that Trump has been in office, gasoline has been more expensive where I live in my neighborhood in Texas. Mm-hmm. That's just my neighborhood. Can be different all across the country for a variety of different reasons. Mm-hmm. Now it's below because when he took office, I think it was like $2.74, $2.75, $2.76. I think it's $2.59 now, but it was up to $2.89 just a week ago.
Right.
So and so affordability, but they did the right thing there. You increase the supply.
Yes. Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Both of us looking at thehill.com, and we were when we were talking about the shutdown and what Democrats may be willing to cross and all that, and how close they might be to 60. A lot of it might be speculation on it. But as we were doing that, just during the break, I still had my computer on the Hill. And I looked at the headlines to the left-hand side. And this headline, I can't even read without laughing. Marjorie Taylor Greene shuts down 2028 bid rumors for president.
Wow. Was she the only one talking about it? Because I didn't hear anybody else.
Same with me. I'm like,
you don't have to shut down anything. I don't think it was ever a thing.
The door was never open.
Right. Unless she's running as a Democrat.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Well, I will say this. There was something great in my personal life that happened because Mamdani won the mayoral race in New York City.
Oh, by the way, May 1st, from now on, starting next year, will be a citywide holiday. May Day in New York City.
But a wonderful thing happened.
All right.
To me.
Yeah, this is a great story.
So I, call my sister yesterday. I mean, I call my dad's house. My sister answers. And I'd first talked to my brother. And my brother and my sister have become his full-time caretakers, just so you know. They're saints, so you know. They're saints. Right. My brother John and my sister Patricia are saints. Absolute saints.
Yeah.
And if there's a definition of saints, if anybody, you can argue with me, and you're going to lose.
Exactly. It's one you can't win.
You can't win that one. Yeah, but this saint did that. I don't care. But so I called my brother and I said, how's Dad? He says, oh, he might be okay to talk to today. And, it's getting more frequent now where they say not today. He's out of it. He's in the dementia. You're in a different world at times.
Right.
So I called my sister and I said, we talked a little bit. And I said, well, how is he? He goes, well, I think he might be all right to talk to. And I said, okay, what can I do to stimulate his mind?
Yeah.
Because when we talk about things like, dementia, it's a one size does not fit all.
No.
You have no idea, what you might say that will absolutely bring a significant period of time of total clarity.
And your dad is an engineering mind, so critical mind, critical thinker.
Yes. In fact, when I got a couple of lithium-ion batteries for his hospital bed, because he's bedridden all the time, they're hoping maybe we can get him, because they have a hoist and everything the VA provides, electronic. You can get him out, and we're thinking it'd be great to get him in a wheelchair because we're going to have Thanksgiving, well, if I can get there, at his house, and it normally hasn't been at his house, but everybody decided we're not going to have it somewhere else and have someone stay there with him.
Right.
And so hopefully we can get him in the wheelchair to come out and watch some TV for a while and whatever, just, be a part of it instead of just being in the bed, because when he's more cognitive, when his cognitive abilities are there, he doesn't like being in bed, but he can't walk. He just can't. His legs aren't strong enough to do it. So he said, oh, hi, Gary. How you doing? And I said, Dad, I'm doing great, but I don't know about you people up there. Man, New York City elected a communist last night. total, complete clarity for the next half hour on the insanity of liberals and Democrats and how important it is that I and you stay doing what we have to do to save the country.
Well, we plan on it.
It was, it was
That's great.
It was so special. And we got just complete clarity. And afterwards, when I was done, my sister said, "Oh my." Well, that hit a part of his brain that just went boom.
Yeah.
And, you can't figure out why. You're just happy that it did.
Well, it's you say that, and it's so true. And I know that because there's millions of us who are either living it right now or have lived it in the past, where we become the family caretakers along with, any professional caretaker.
Right.
And it's a different thing. I have two family members right now going through it. And I've never said it, but my mom and my mother-in-law. With my mother-in-law, there's two things. Music, because she's a great singer. Used to sit around singing all the time, country music. So music gets the brain going, and then she'll just start singing along with you. And then the darndest thing, and I didn't know it, she actually requested it. My sister-in-law lives very close, just a couple miles from the home where she's in, and sees her every day. And great facility, great caretakers. But Mom, I call my mother-in-law Mom, requested a clock, and because she couldn't remember what day it was. And she said, "Can I get something that tells me what day it is?" And she didn't actually say clock. She said anything that I can, a calendar or something. So I got her a big bright clock with the date and everything. And, and she just, and it, boom. Because she could wake up that morning, look at it, or at any point look at it and say, that's today's date. Mm-hmm. There was a time, one of the tests is you ask him what year it is. And she answered 1964. And it was just not quite 2 years ago. And then the second question, do you know who the current president is? And she said, and the whole room laughed. She rolled her eyes and she goes, "Yeah, unfortunately, it's Joe Biden." And I looked at my wife and was like, nailed it.
Well, then it seems there's that similarity.
Yeah.
Right. Politics and music, because my younger sister, my other sister, she figured it out with music.
Yeah.
She'll come over and just start singing with my father.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's older songs.
Yes.
And then I'll come in at times and and I don't go into the room he's in used to be the guest bedroom where I stayed when I came and visited.
Yeah.
But I'll be out in the other room and I said, "Is he singing?" She goes, and they go, "Yeah, he'll start singing a song from the 40s or the 50s."
Yeah.
And he knows all the words, everything, like it's absolutely perfect. And I have this idea that when I go back, that whether I get it off one of the streaming channels, Pandora or whatever, but all the old-time classic Christmas songs, let's play it for him and sing with them. Because for some,
that.
Because and I thought I haven't even told my sister that. In fact, I told you that before. I said, let's see if that works. Right. Thanksgiving, when I'm back. In fact, I'm back a lot this year. I'm back for Thanksgiving. I'm back a couple weeks later. My great nephew is it's his senior year playing basketball. I want to be there in high school. Yeah, and I haven't been able to get to games, and this year I can get to probably 4 or 5 games. And so weather and government permitting, I hope to catch 5 or 6 games, including the playoffs this year. Yeah. He's a really great basketball player. He really, really is, and a great student and everything else. And we're really, really tight. So, but I'm back 2 weeks later. Then I'm back for Christmas for a couple of days. And my plan is all those 3 times that we're back. And even if it goes into January when I'm back for those games, let's just play Christmas music and see if the old ones that he knows. And because it just, and I've been reading about it, that in dementia patients, music kicks off something different.
It's interesting because for those of us who don't have dementia, we know that if we hear an old song, it means something different to everybody, right? It's you hear it and it takes you right back to where you were when that song was big, you know?
Well, we've talked about this outside of, the topic of dementia in music, just in music in general. I mentioned this a few years ago. It was when I got into my 60s for some reason. Because I've always been not the crap music, but, I'm into, harder rock and prog rock and, just like you, bunch of different eclectic bands and all that. And if there's somebody new, there's like 4 or 5 new bands that I'm into, they're all regional bands. They're not national bands.
Right.
But I found them like, God, you're great. And so I've never stayed stale and said, I only listen to 70s music and nothing else. I listen to everything. And radio was one of the reasons. And growing up listening to Top 40 radio that played everything.
Right.
I think, but there was a lot of music pop music, and even slower stuff, because I worked in adult contemporary radio, and I was like, oh, God,
Coming up, we'll have some James Taylor.
Oh, some of the crap,
by the
some of the crap I had to play. But something, James Taylor, that, like, for example, I can't listen to a James Taylor tune, but after watching the movie The Way, we've talked about The Way with Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
What a great movie that is. They played James Taylor in it.
Yeah.
Every time I hear that song, it
takes on a different meaning.
But music now, has always been, the rhythms, the counter rhythms, the drums, the bass, figuring out how the music composition of it and enjoying that. That was 99% of my music listening until I got to my 60s. Now, God, I'm like Al Bundy. I put on the oldie station and you hear a song and you're not listening to it because of the music. And this only happened maybe 5 years ago, maybe 65, 66. And all of a sudden I found myself listening to a succession of songs from the 60s and the early 70s that were top 40 songs that I really have never cared about musically, but they reference to a specific point of where I was at that particular time. And that nostalgia in my brain is extremely enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wonder if that's what happens, that kind of same thing, that music,
I have to think that's
it's a different part of the brain and just brings that out in dementia patients.
With my mother-in-law, the Christmas album is Buck Owens' Christmas album.
Oh.
Because we still own it, we still have it, but she for years has had Buck Owens' Christmas album on vinyl. And we'd play it at her house every year. We'd play it through probably half a dozen times.
Really?
Both sides. And so you start singing, and she's a great singer. So you start singing something, just maybe in the car on the way to lunch or something. And for her, it's 60s, 70s era country. And for me, that was the other side of, my listenership as a, human. My dad was listening to that. Willie, he loved Buddy Holly, loved Elvis. But by then, by the 70s, Willie Nelson, Waylon, Johnny Cash, Ray Price, as I mentioned the other day, Mom, listening for the good times on the way to school. So I walk in and I'm crying in the second grade. But it's, way to go, Mom. Way to set the mood. But it's, I know with my mother-in-law, it does. It takes her back to that time. Plus, when my wife was young, they would sit out on the porch and bring a guitar out, and people from the block would just come around, hang out in the yard, and watch them sing. So singing is a part of that, which is, performing. Your brain works in a different way. It's I can't believe anything else except helpful. It has to be helpful because for us, those are great moments when they're happening.
Well, what I have found out, and it's been the last few years. My mom died 5.5 years ago. Whenever I mention that, people say, "Oh my gosh, you remember that so well? It's that long ago." But it was 5.5 years ago when she died, and what I went through there, and now with my father with dementia, and I've had this conversation with other people my age, and it's a regular thing. Everybody's dealing with it, but you go through that thing. The terror of when it first happens.
Yeah.
Of when you recognize it, the terror, the sadness, the grief, because in your mind you're saying, I'm losing my parents before they're dead.
Yeah.
Or my mom didn't have it as bad as my father, but you think that in your mind.
It's been especially traumatic on both sides for us, and then also with my wife. And for each other, having to be part of the caretaker team and also go through that, it's and millions of us are going through that and living that.
But what I'm finding out, what I've learned through experience, is you go through that first, and then I've had this discussion with my brothers and sisters. The next thing, and I said, and it's another type of terrifying when it becomes the new normal.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, my gosh, I'm accepting this. But you have to. But then the third thing is the joy that we all get in the moments like I got
on those good days
yesterday, the incredible joy in the midst of unbelievable that in your mind you're viewing tragedy and grief.
Yes.
There is this incredible joy that still exists in it where we'll all be there. My father will say something, and the siblings, my mom dying, and my father with being bedridden and the dementia that he has now, has brought my sibling. Not that we were ever not close, but we're as tight of a union as you could possibly imagine.
Yes,
that joy and all of us enjoying those moments with my father. And I posted it on X a few months ago when we got him out in. When I was back in the summer, we got on the wheelchair, and I took a picture of it because I felt that was a dignified way to do it, because you're always worried about that, too. I want to take a picture where it doesn't look dignified. Mm-hmm. And I took one, I think, about a month ago of him in the hospital bed, and he looked really, really good, in the hospital bed in his house. But you get him out there, and the incredible joy of all of us, and that's the one thing that I have learned, that there is incredible joy that you can get in the midst of what you view as one of the worst times of your life.
That's why I love the caretakers at my mother-in-law's facility. That team, because she's having a lot of good days and very few bad days now, and a lot of that has to do with the job they're doing at that care center. It's amazing.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Perhaps you have noticed some improvements to national forest and national park infrastructure recently. Recent, as in the last 5 years. Benny Jewett of the U.S. Forest Service says if so, that reflects the Great American Outdoors Act of 2020.
Forest Service and 4 departments of the interior agencies. And so that is all the parks, the restrooms, the picnic tables, the roads, the boat ramps, the facilities, the things like that people really do enjoy on the national forest, anywhere from hunting, fishing, recreating, mountain biking, all those kinds of things that people enjoy on the national forest.
And over that time period,
we have completed 442 projects, all the long overdue maintenance of infrastructure of the outdoor recreation. Once we've completed all the projects, we'll have completed $1.1 billion of maintenance backlog.
I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up here in a little bit, some of the audio from the Supreme Court yesterday on tariffs. But first, I didn't hear this. I didn't know this. We were looking at thehill.com saying, there may be 3 more Democrat senators because Fetterman's also willing to open the government.
Right.
That may be aboard, so you're getting closer.
Yeah.
I didn't see this was on CNN yesterday. They were interviewing Arizona Senator Gallego, and he said he will not open the government. But here's what they said on CNN. I didn't see this. I don't know who their sources are, but this is interesting because if this is true, you're going to have a deal soon.
On the shutdown, roughly a dozen Senate Democrats have privately signaled they're willing to vote to reopen the government in exchange for a promise that there would be a future vote on extending those expiring ACA subsidies.
There you go.
Yeah, I kind of think that's where it's going, and it may happen very soon.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today and listen when you want. All right, so I wanted to play that little, as we played that little cut right before the bottom of the hour from CNN, where they said roughly a dozen Senate Democrats have privately signaled they're willing to vote to reopen the government. If there's a vote later on down the line on the subsidies, well, of course there's going to be a vote.
Yeah.
Now, if it's going to be a vote on all the subsidies or not, I don't know.
Right.
But the fact that, that was the only way you get that is that was leaked to you.
Right.
Roughly a dozen Senate Democrats, because that passes it right there. But that brings me back to what I was saying earlier. Number one, the Republicans preempting by saying, this is really getting bad for the air traffic controllers. Before it gets too bad, we got to make sure we got everything covered. So we're going to preempt and shut down 10% of the air traffic to make sure that the rest of the system can continue running.
Right.
That was the number one thing where there's like, okay, Democrats probably went, okay, is this going too far? The next one, and that's why I asked the question, I think really beginning of the show almost, is Trump bluffing on the whole thing, the filibuster?
On the nuclear option?
On the nuclear option, because because then, we've had the nuclear option and all of a sudden, boom, roughly a dozen Senate Democrats. Because if Republicans did the forget about the fact that it's not going to happen.
Right. They're never going to get the votes from the GOP on that. That's
right.
Not going to happen.
But the fact that he did that sends the message that not to us about what would happen if Republicans open this filibuster and whether the Democrats, if they get into power, would open the filibuster and do whatever they want to do. Take that question out of it. The immediacy is if Republicans did it, Trump could claim, I got the government open because Democrats wouldn't do it because Democrats weren't aboard on it.
Right.
Now, a dozen Senate Democrats, they decide to jump on board, and you get them from toss-up states.
Yeah.
You get them from toss-up states where it's not as serious, and they can sit there and say, the Republicans did it, wouldn't do it, but we got the government open, and we got the government open, and we're going to have a vote on, they were going to have a vote anyway on it, but we're going to have a vote. Yeah. I'm just talking about the politics of it, not the reality of it. And we Democrats cross, we cross the line, and because we're going to get a vote on it, and so we got the government open, you'll be able to go home for the holidays. And people are going to get their food stamps thanks to the Democrats. You have no chance of doing that if Trump won the filibuster. And remember, the politics of today are immediate. Nobody's worrying about a year from now.
Yeah, bubble of today, totally.
Which, by the way, has been a problem for both parties.
Well,
It was a problem for the Democrats with inflation. It's still a problem for the Republicans with inflation, which all gets back to affordability.
Well, it is, and you look at everything that went down on the shutdown yesterday that came down, and it appeared to me that, all right, they both certainly wanted to play the waiting game, blame game until Election Day, because I don't think the GOP wanted to do anything on an Obama officially. We've known where they're going to go. We've known where we're going to be out more money, the taxpayer, on Obamacare and on subsidies. And that's a given because, again, we don't trust them as fiscal conservatives, but we're a small group. I think for the party, I think they were looking at it going, okay, but officially we're not going to make a move until after Election Day. Thune actually said that the other day. Speaker Johnson yesterday was, all over it, and except for the fact that now the only back and forth seems to be, if it's true that there are a dozen Democrats in the Senate on board, whether or not they're going to do December 19th or go into January. And Speaker Johnson over in the House is going, no, Susan Collins, we're not going to do an omnibus bill at Christmas time, because they become a train wreck because everybody wants to go home and they start piling stuff on and then hope that everybody forgets during the last couple of weeks of the year and they get into January. But the fact of the matter is, you don't want to do that. You want to get into January. And I'm guessing, I don't know that they'll convince Susan Collins, but I think they are going to have enough votes. It sounds like that based on this, and I hadn't heard that from CNN either, that possibly a dozen Democrats on board. The Hill story had 3 that they mentioned, and then we add on Fetterman for 4. Well, if it's a dozen, then they've got the votes without Susan Collins.
Well, yeah, they've got the vote. And I don't think Susan Collins would not. She'd been voting all along to open the government.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think she would. I think she would go January if that's what comes down.
That's going back and forth on it. Here'd be a question: when would the vote be? Would the vote be before January
on Obamacare?
Yeah,
I think so. I think you want that. Actually, if you're the GOP, I think you want the vote as soon as possible to get it behind you.
Well, because if it's to continue all the subsidies, that's not going to happen, and then you negotiate in January then. When the pressure's on Democrats.
You start negotiating now, but I think, and I don't know, you can tell me where I'm wrong, but my thinking is if you're the GOP, you do want that behind you soon as possible.
It's not behind you because then the subsidies would stop. They still need to negotiate what they're going to do with Obamacare.
Well, what I'm saying is, no, that's what I mean, is that you negotiate that and do the vote on it as soon as possible on the Obamacare.
Well, yeah, right, and then you start the negotiations at
because
I
think it's already priced in. By the way, with fiscal conservatives, we've all been expecting them to go. I don't think they're going to have anything different in terms of Obamacare and we need to make it more affordable overall, blah, 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 blah. You're not going to really make any big moves. You're not going to move the needle.
Okay.
So do the vote, get it out of the way, and get on with it.
All right. We don't make predictions here.
All right.
But why not? Because it's all speculation.
Yeah.
And we'll see how close I am.
Okay.
Let's do what I did. Remember I did this about 15 years ago?
Mm-hmm. On the GDP?
I
knew where you were going.
You
on the GDP.
That's
all you had to say.
This happened like in January because it was the Obama White House economic, whatever they are, the economic group that came out with what they believed the GDP would be for that year.
Yeah.
And it was something ridiculous. It was like, we expect to have 4.3% economic growth.
Yeah. You might as well say 14.
Right. And I said, and everybody had been wrong the year before, and I forgot what year it was. It was like completely off. And I said, let me just take a guess. I'm just going to throw a number off the top of my head. Just in general, I have no figures in front of me. Just in general, where I believe the economy is going. And I think I said something like 2.1 or 2.2%.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
It was the exact number.
It was spot on.
It was spot on.
And that was early in the year when you said it.
Yeah, it was like January or February because they were throwing out all these BS numbers.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be 4.3% economic growth.
All right, so now make your prediction on this one.
Well,
where do you think it's going?
Here's my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what reforms you make in Obamacare now, it's not going to lessen the premium increases right now. So the Republicans will agree to all the premium increases with the changes to Obamacare that will take effect over the next year through, when is Election Day next year? Through November.
Yeah, right.
through the end of the year, that they need to fix everything.
November 15th.
Well, because everything would need to be phased in, and it's not going to happen immediately.
Right.
And so the Democrats will get all the subsidies, and the Republicans will get what they say are the changes needed to stop the growth. And they may get some in there, but you're still going to have. I don't see them.
It's not going to be. They're not going to move the needle.
They're not going to move the needle on the subsidies.
No.
That's my. Let's see.
I think that's why they really. I think that's why. I don't know. Here's a question: where was the GOP kept throwing bricks that they knew Schumer was going to, knock down a total of 15 times now until after the election, and then both sides keep wagging their finger at each other, and then it's like Trump comes in and goes, "Hey, we're going to start canceling flights. We're going to start canceling 10% of the flights in all the major cities." And Democrats go, "Oh, wait a minute, yeah, and nuclear option, and that could well be the game." And then, if Thune said he was optimistic, there would be a vote by the end of the week. The House would have to come back to vote on it.
Well, if he said it Monday, he had no idea what was going. If he said it yesterday,
well, I don't like the word optimistic, by the way, at all, because nobody else is optimistic about the GOP. Why is he?
Well, they definitely weren't on that there was going to be an end to the shutdown on Monday by Friday.
Yeah, I have to double check and see if he said that. But he said after the election, and that would have had to have been Sunday or Monday. It may have been Sunday. Was he on a Sunday morning show? I'll go back and look. But I don't. Again, I saw that comment as well. First of all, I don't buy it. I read it on Wednesday. It was printed on or posted at I think thehill.com on Wednesday, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, does he know it's Wednesday? It's Friday's pretty quick. But here's the thing. I think it is feasible, certainly, I don't know, a week on the shutdown, end the shutdown. Now, the question is, do they expedite the vote based on what's going to happen with the airports?
Well, the problem is,
because they're going to start that on Friday.
It's the same thing when Governor Abbott started sending the buses everywhere, and you and I said, well, the problem is here. Even if the national media ignores it, the local media won't. This is something. This is
they're going
something.
They're going to have a reporter in every aisle.
Every reporter on Friday through the weekend until that ends is going to be talking to passengers who are screaming that they can't get to where they need to get.
Yeah.
And the sob stories, death in the family.
Oh, sure.
Couldn't get to a wedding. Holidays are, and as you get closer to the holidays, it just keeps building and building and building and building.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wouldn't be surprised because it's not a tough deal. If they're willing, if you've got 12 Democrats simply saying, we want to vote on it, Republicans know there's going to be a vote, and they're going to turn it down.
And it's a CR, so not, there's no moving parts otherwise.
Right. There is no other moving parts. It's a very simple thing. And you just say, okay, we'll have a vote. And then you turn it down, and then everybody goes nuts again. But the CR is already passed. You say, well, let's negotiate. We know we're going to have to. We know we got to continue the subsidies, and the Republicans start saying that. For
we'll schedule a vote.
But we want reforms. There's got to be reforms on it. We turned it down because we gave you the clean CR. You want to vote for all the subsidies to continue. We say no until we get the reforms. If we get the reforms, we'll continue the subsidies until the reforms kick in.
Right.
That's what I believe will happen.
Right. And you get that vote done, the second vote or third vote, however long that goes, done by the end of the year so that the subsidies keep going into January.
Right. And the Republicans get home for their Christmas holiday and the Democrats for the winter solstice.
Because that's what matters.
Yes.
Yeah, not the $38 trillion. Yeah, don't pay attention to that.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So we'll see how close I get on that one.
Okay, so what are we thinking? Timeline on the shutdown, that vote? I'm going to say no more than 7 days.
I would agree with you. I just don't think they cannot get to the holidays. They cannot do it.
I think the airport thing is going to be a big deal because if that starts on Friday, like you said, and we've said it a million times, the local media is going to do all the heavy lifting on that in every city. They'll be out there. City. They'll start on the morning show, early morning news, and they'll have a reporter out there all day, every day, until it ends.
Yep. The local shows will have to stop doing fluff.
Right.
Yeah. Actually,
no more cat videos for a while. You're going to have to do news.
Yeah, I sense it's coming to an end. And if it's true, what CNN is saying, that they're moving in that direction of 12 Democrat senators,
it could happen.
I don't see it lasting a week.
Right. Exactly.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.